Nice to hear your voice, loud and clear. Okay. Shall we start? Again, that silence. This dead silence. Okay, so yesterday we were talking about how an activity can be fine-tuned and what are the ways in which students can learn different aspects of the language using communicative language teaching approach, and what is the teacher's role, whether to give a rough activity or fine-tuned activity where there is a scope. In the previous one, that is the former one, the rough exercise, rough activity, where the students have a scope to think freely, whereas in fine-tuned activity, like you will see in a couple of minutes, that students don't have scope to think freely about what they have to do in the task. So everything is given in a fine-tuned activity, like this one, the identify the chronological sequence in this paragraph. We did that, and let's look at the ways in which the grammatical structures can be given to the students, and from that you try to get out their this structure in their sentences. So the structure is that you write it on the board, and the students have to use this structure, like somebody is said to be, and somebody is said to be ill, somebody is reported to, somebody is believed to, something is believed to be fishy. So you give this structure to the student, that this is what you have to speak. You have to come out with a sentence while you are speaking, while you are formulating your sentences. So somebody can be removed with and replaced with the name of the person, like Alsace is believed to open its master's program this year. Something about Alsace, you can say Alsace is reported to have opened PhD programs in 5 disciplines. So you can have such kind of structures where students fill in somebody or something with either proper noun or a general noun or something. Any idea they can talk. You can give them a text as well. For example, in the text is like this. What kind of person is Mr. Weaver? And if you remember, we gave this paragraph. So now, considering this statement, the entire paragraph, the students are supposed to answer, like, what kind of person is Mr. Weaver? So you may want to answer this, that Mr. Weaver lived in Baroda, or instead of saying this, because it's written here, Mr. Weaver was in Baroda. So you are not sure, so and you have to use that structure. So you can say Mr. Weaver is said to have lived in Baroda. What else can be said about Mr. Weaver from the whatever the paragraph you have? The second the second sentence could be Mr. Weaver is said to have taught 3rd-year students. So you can say to the students some examples, and then students will be able to follow the grammatical structure that you are giving them. And once students practice it with kind of sentences and the structure you are giving in, they will have a kind of mastery, at least in spoken language, if not written. But also, if you ask them to write with the same structure, I think students will be able to find out and follow the structure the way the structure has to be used. So look at this sentence, look at this paragraph, and I gave you 2 examples. Can you tell me 2 or more sentences with this structure? Yeah, something is said or believed or reported to be, or somebody is, and you have to answer the question. This one: what kind of person is Mr. Weaver? From the paragraph that you are reading on your screen. Can anybody do that? And it's a spoken exercise. It's not a written exercise. So I won't see your chat boxes. Okay. The structure is this. I'm waiting for your response. I'll not move forward today without your responses. Did I not say to speak? It's a spoken activity, not the written activity. I don't understand. मैंने plain English में बोला कि this activity is spoken activity, not the written activity. So क्या आप सिंपल इंग्लिश नहीं समझ पा रहे तो क्वेश्चन नहीं कर सकते सर समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. Yeah, those who have written, मुझे पता है किसने लिखा है, आपको भी पता है किसने लिखा है. You have to use the structure which is given there. Somebody is said to, or believed to, or reported to, and you have to answer the question which is there below. What kind of person is Mr. Weaver? And this is the paragraph. You have to read and find out what kind of person Mr. Weaver is. That's maybe the answer. And I think you might have read Laya's response. So it's a simple structure that students are supposed to answer in a spoken activity. Now, let's move on. I don't want to waste time on this. Again, मैं फिर से दोहरा रहा हूँ. This is a spoken activity, not written activity. I won't see your chat boxes. Okay, so answer the questions and unmute yourself. Try to answer this question as a group. You can have interaction among yourself, or you can talk to one of your classmates.
Sir, which English courses?
Okay, that's a very good question. All the courses that you have so far attended.
I used to feel like it was a storytelling session. Many times.
Okay, somebody is chatting and sir, I can't answer because mic is not working. Just wanted to let you know. Great. Okay, got it. मेरा भी कभी कभी mic बंद होना चाहिए. अच्छा रहा. Okay. Just one person answered the question, and that's great. Hardi, Shivani, Parisha, I don't know who else is present. I can pinpoint your name and let you know that it is highly okay, leave it. Next question. If the answer is if you decide, if you believe that it is possible. Go on.
When you can frame the sentences very well, which can impress or make the reader understand what you want to convey.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Next question.
An arts college, humanities background college.
A college which provides advanced courses.
Okay.
A college which is so fun-loving and has lots of activities.
Seriously? Okay, go on. Okay, I'll come back to your responses and would like you to remember the responses you are giving, okay? I will come back to this because it's the part of the discussion I would like to do. The next question. You can skip this question if you like. If you want to answer this question from your school or previous teachers, that's fine.
Sir, in school, my English teacher was my favorite teacher.
Okay. Anybody?
In school, my English teacher was the one who helped me the most to express my thoughts.
Okay.
So when
In
I was in school,
Yeah.
okay, Hardi.
Continue.
Hardi, continue, please.
Okay. When I was in school, my English teacher was the one who made me love English subject. Due to her, I started loving English.
Okay.
Okay.
Next one.
So when I was in school in my 12th standard, I love my English teacher because she taught me many things and means how to deal in life, and through stories she used to tell us very sorry.
It's okay.
She used to tell us many things which are useful for us in future. And in
Okay.
college, when I came in college, so my first impression about our lecturers was that they are very knowledgeable and we can learn many things from them.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about? Okay. So let's move on to the next question. Why do you?
Sir, for
Yeah, go on, shoot.
for me, like last minute में वो आग लगती है. हाँ, कल देना है, अब करते हैं.
Okay, that's cool. And anybody?
If it is writing, usually be uninteresting, especially when in assignments.
Okay. Anybody else?
So writing is something when everyone feels it that is boring,
Okay.
and like yeah, that's it.
Okay. Really, is writing boring? I don't know, but I feel it. Wow, writing is so much good. Okay, we'll talk about it. All the responses that you have given so far. And last one.
Topic as in related to English or
Anything. See, read the question. It's an open-ended question. It is not confined or limited, so you can answer anything.
So the topic interest attracts me the most or grab my attention is that how archaeologists find different sculptures and all, and how they decipher writings, ancient writings.
Okay, that's good. I think.
for me it is history and mystery.
Mhm. Okay.
So for me, I like bold women, like their stories and romantic stories.
Okay, so Shruti might search on Pumpa Banerjee. You might read interesting stories about Pumpa Banerjee. I don't know whether you have heard her name or not, but you must search somewhere in the Google Pumpa Banerjee. Okay, you still got 4 responses. Only 4 students. Where is Parisha, Vidhi, Laya? I'm waiting for your chat, but it's not there. So something is happening. Shivani said something. Okay. Now, before we move on, let's go back. Let's go back to the questions or the task that we were talking about. Now, these rough tuned and fine tuned. Now, remember the questions that were given to you. Do you think that the questions that were in front of you were rough tuned or they were fine tuned? Would you like to go back to these slides again, go and coming forward and backward? So this is the rough tune questions or the activities, and look at it, and then we'll move to fine tune, and then we'll go back to the questions.
Sir, can you please get back to the questions?
Yes, yes. First, go back. First, read this rough and fine tune, and then we'll move towards the questions. Okay, so now it's fine tuned. Okay, let's go back to the questions that I gave. Yes, because you will write, I know, but I'm eager to listen to the voices that are silent. Okay, that's right, La. That's right. Yes. Is there any possibility that we can make these questions specific, fine-tuned, with a proper one structure that you have to speak this answer in a particular structure? Is it possible? See, why am I asking these questions is because when you go to the English language classroom, this happens the most. That the students, as I said, that try to remember your responses because it's a roughly tuned questions. They are a kind of general questions. So the response you will get, let's say in question C, what do you hear about Alsace? Almost all the response I got was a phrase, not a sentence. Similarly, when do you begin to think it possible for you to become a writer? Again, it's a phrase, what I'm receiving as. So there is a possibility that students will give you response in phrases, not sentences. And that's a problem. And it's the problem that students are going to face in future when they appear for any interviews. Because when you are trying to speak, communicate to somebody, and if the sentence has just phrase, you may say that it's understood because it's communication and you don't require full sentences. But then if you speak a phrase instead of a sentence, the problem is the person is trying hard to understand what you want to communicate, right? So instead of excuse me, I think I'm having sneeze. Okay, so when students are answering in part sentences, what will happen that the listener will try hard to understand what is being spoken because it has no normal structure. The structure of the sentence is partially appropriate, and it would be difficult for listeners to get the entire sense of what the speaker is trying to communicate. So the first rule of any interaction or any communication that it should be meaningful. So when you design a task which is open-ended, you might get a response like this, and there is nothing wrong. But when we say that the question is finely tuned, what do you hear about Alsace in the month of December? You will get a response basically from the students about the month of December activities. Then you will say, in the month of December, we have so and so, 1, 2, 3, 4 activities, and therefore the month of December is fun, it's enjoyable moments. And when you talk about in the month of April, it would be difficult. What about the admission process at Alsace? You will recall the incidents that you have remembered. Okay, now, why do you put off the writing assignment till the last minute? Again, this is a very individual question, and it reminds you that a kind of attitude the students are having. So we have to understand that what kind of questions are going to be going to give us responses that are particularly giving us the response that we would like to have. Now look at the title of the essay, and I was surprised that the writing became one of the issues in this question. Almost everybody tried to talk about writing the assignment the last minute, and I never anticipated that this next slide would be so interesting in that sense. Okay, what do you think of the title of the essay? Now, you are supposed, as a student, are supposed to write, writing for myself. This is the essay. What do you think of this title?
Sir, I didn't get the question.
Okay, that's good. See, this is the title given to you to write an essay, right? Is that clear so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, what do you think about the title?
Is
So
it
it's
about writing on ourselves,
Okay, 1 point.
on one own self?
Okay,
Sir, the subject is writing about ourselves, and
okay,
we have to decide the title for it. Is it like
okay.
that?
No. Anything else? We'll discuss this title itself, because each word, read each word and try to find out what does each word in the title means.
Or is it like writing our own diary pages, like our experience?
Okay.
Or
Writing for pleasure, like we want to write something about something, so we wrote it on a paper.
Yes, you are on the point. See, writing for myself. See, the word for, why do I write? For means why, in this sense. So why do I write? This is the question. Writing for myself. I do not write for others. So why do I write? I write to make my arguments clear. I write to make my time pass in leisure. I write to expose others. I write because I love to write. I write because X number of reasons. Right? So when you say such titles, what happens? Students might not be able to get, like this was a confused kind of title. So everybody would be on a different page. So when you give an open-ended question in the classroom to discuss, the best thing can happen is you invite people to talk about what does it mean, first of all, right? Like we did. Somebody said it's about writing about one's self, writing about one's pleasure. Some say it's writing about me. So where do you see the title of the essay, and how do you interpret the title? Now, as I said in the last year as well, that there is always a no right or wrong answer in humanities. You can justify your answer. But since the essay, the title of the essay here says writing for myself, so what kind of writing you do also comes there. And it may be, I just write for myself, nobody else. Who is my reader is not at all a question. Here, I write my diary and all the facts I'm writing. I write my diary without facts, all the emotions. I write my poems where I am going, about where I am going, about the nature, about things that you love to talk to yourself. And Frank's diary, all of you must have read. Anne Frank's diary. She is writing for herself because there was nobody to listen to her. She had no clue to what she is undergoing. So she narrated everything for herself. And then later, fortunately, the diary got into the hands and it got published. So every poet is writing about his or her feelings. So when you write, you have to ask this question: why am I writing? Is it for my teacher? Is it for myself? Is it for my friends? Is it who is my audience? So now this question has led us to this number of questions, right? So this relationship with the task, the activity that you give to your students becomes important in that sense. So you have to design the task in a way that students not only write, they also discuss among themselves. And when they discuss, all the four skills, reading, listening, speaking, and writing, comes to the fore. And they practice it in the classroom. And when they go back to their home places, they write in isolation. Right? Any questions so far?
No, sir.
Okay. Now let's look at this and try to understand. We have 6 minutes and this is a group activity. As a student, Maya was long bored by, I think, boring activity is writing. That's what you said. And I never thought that this would come up in this sequence. As a student, Maya was long bored by writing compositions. Later, however, her attitude changed completely. What do you think brought about this change? So something has happened. Initially, she did not like writing, and now she likes. So what has happened in the meantime? Can you think about it?
Maybe she has started writing about something which is interesting for her now.
Okay, okay. So,
Maybe people have
yeah,
started appreciating her writings.
that's good reason. Very good.
Maybe she would have read something or come across something which motivated her
That's good.
to write things.
Okay. Anything else? Shivani? Parisha?
Sir, sir, sir,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sir, the question you asked was about the assignments. So writing assignments, I feel, is somewhat boring, but might be with Maya, it would happen like she had started something writing from which she get pleasure, and then she might thought that writing is interesting, and this how changed her perspective towards writing.
Okay. Okay. Do you feel that that there is a role of a teacher in our parents here uh, in this change that has happened?
Yes, I mean, if her work is read by any of her teacher of her, or by her parents, and if she is appreciated for her work, like, yes, you did
Okay,
well,
so
you can
first
write
is
much better.
appreciation. Okay, the first is appreciation. Okay, so somebody appreciates, including teacher and parents. Anything else?
According to me, it all depends on one's own perspective.
Mhm. Can you expand that? What do you mean by that?
Like if she is willing to write, then her willingness is all matters. If even if it is appreciated or not, even if it is read by someone or not, but if you like to write, then you can write it by whatever means or by
Okay.
whatever motivation you want.
Yes. But see, Hardi, that's a very interesting answer. And I think the individualistic perspective on writing is all right. But see the question, as a student, Maya was long bored by writing composition. So there is a condition already given to you that prior she did not like writing. Now, attitude has changed. So the answer has to come between this. What has gone right or what has motivated her to change? So that's where my answer lies. That's what do you think? What
So,
has, yes,
sir, I'm answering this in Hindi.
yeah, no worries.
Like, सर कभी कभी ऐसा होता है that हमें कोई भी चीज बहुत बोरिंग लगती है, बट अगर वो हम चीज अपने आप से करने लगते हैं, जैसे हमें अचानक से हमने कुछ भी लिख दिया, उसके बाद वो चीज हमें बहुत अच्छी लगने लगती है कि हाँ, हमें कॉन्फिडेंट आ जाता है कि नहीं, हम ये चीज कर सकते हैं अपनी लाइफ में.
ओके शिवानी, आई थिंक मुझे आपसे फिर से मैंने जो हार्दिक को कहा ना उसी बात को दोहराऊंगा मैं कि हमारे पास कंडीशन दिया हुआ है. कंडीशन ये है कि माया पहले लिखने का उसको वो बोरियत लगती थी, लेकिन कुछ हुआ है जो उसका एटीट्यूड चेंज कर रहा है. तो ऐसा क्या हुआ है उसके बीच में? लया सेज दैट शी लर्न टू कनेक्ट द टॉपिक्स विद हर लाइफ if the teachers, parents encouraged to think freely without constraints. Now, again, I would repeat the same instruction to Leah as well. Since we have less than 1 minute, read the question. The condition is given to you. Maya was long bored by writing compositions. Later, however, her attitude changed completely. What do you think brought about this change? So, appreciation is one of the answers we can say. The connecting points that she could connect to the life, all the topics that we come across are somehow connected to life. So I don't see that as a major factor which is bringing the change in the attitude, because when you see a change in attitude, something might have happened. So think about it. We'll discuss that in the next session, and we'll continue to finish this in the next session, this designing